All right, all right. Party people in the place to be, vandals, and whoever else might have been returned from the dead to cause some vengeance. This is a brand new spin-off show of Pink Buzz. This is Pink Spots. This is going to be a shorter format show where we just cover one book. And we're going to start this off with a classic that Matt and I really love, and Joe's new to. But Joe, dude, who the hell is this guy on stream with us? What does he say his name is? Dr. Fauci? Wow.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know where.
Who
That's
who is
right.
this guy? Let's let him introduce himself, I guess, since he's gonna
Yeah.
be here.
Making my unglamorous return, Dr. Fulci is back in the house, and I've got the fucking cure, baby.
Cure for what?
That's for you to find out later.
I hope it's the cure for everything you gave me from a while back. Cause
Might be a few add-ons.
They're talking about comics they send each other. People like they're talking about comics, okay? But,
No, we're not.
Yeah, I know. You dirty bastards.
I just leave it up to the people's interpretation, man. I don't, make up your own scenarios. That's usually the best
But
philosophy.
Matt, how excited are you to finally talk about this book on air? Because we've kind of hinted around it. We've talked about things involving this comic, but to actually speak about the masterpiece, like, how do you feel?
This book pretty much introduced me to what indie comics are. I remember, I don't remember what year it was when Kitchen Sink Press put out the first trade. But I read the cover off of that book, literally. Like, I have it in a box somewhere, and the cover is very fucked up and not attached anymore. So I've read this book probably 50 times, and it's just, I've always been a huge Obar fan. I wish he did more in the comics medium than he has. But this is a classic. Just, it doesn't get much better than this for indie comics for me.
Yeah, if you're gonna have one story to tell, like, make it one like this, man, because it is just so good. And one thing that I'm really excited to get into, because this is his first time checking it out, is Joe. I'm gonna go ahead and give you the floor first. You go ahead and take over the kind of review of the graphic novel, man. How did you feel diving into this after hearing so much about it for decades, probably at this point?
Yeah, well, you know my situation from when I was a kid. I didn't have a comic shop, so I only was able to pick up whatever the 7-Eleven had on the spinner racks and supermarkets and stuff like that. So I knew of this book. I obviously saw the movie first, which I loved, and like I only saw snippets of the book here and there, like just got little glances of it, right? So being able to actually sit there and read through the whole thing was actually pretty good. Like, I mean, you look back on things now, like to back in the 90s, like things can seem dated, and you could tell like maybe, oh, this was made in this year, but this definitely holds up for someone who's read it more recently and doesn't have much of a background with it. I mean, it holds up really well. James O'Barr's art is fantastic. He has some amazing double page splash pages in there, some full pages. Like I mean, you got to remember, this guy was drawing these books back in the 90s, and everything, like he said. And I got the new edition, which I think Fulci ordered as well, because of his was.
Yeah, I got
that
one.
Yeah, that's the one I ordered. And in the foreword, he talks about how he added pages in, because back then, like, he didn't know what he was doing when he made this comic. This is like the first thing he ever attempted to make, and I guess the way it was, they printed this stuff out on a giant sheet of paper, and it gets folded in, and he didn't calculate the pages right, so he had to cut a bunch of stuff out of the original. And so this book has those pages, I guess, from what he had to cut out, some of the stuff he added back into this new edition. So I'm not familiar with the older edition, so I couldn't really tell you what was added in, but there's some great methods on how he does like the flashbacks is done in pencil, and the present story is all done in like black, like high contrast black and white inks. And I love how before he becomes the Crow, it's a softer, more like warm, welcoming kind of vibe to it. It's great the way they play off the two. And I mean the story, like, because I watched the movie first, and I thought the adaptation to this was fantastic for the movie. Like the small tweaks and changes they made, which I didn't find they made that many, but I mean it was great. I love both versions. Like I couldn't tell you the movie or the book. Like I love them both just as much. And like, I mean, at this point, I don't think I have to elaborate on the synopsis or the story, because at this point, I think everybody knows the Crow either from reading the book or watching the movie. So I don't think I need to elaborate on the story all that much, because I think people kind of have a good idea of the Crow and what it's all about. But man, if you were like me and you'd never read it, go pick this up, because it's not even that expensive. I think you can. It's often on sale, so you could get it for like I got it for maybe what, $30 Canadian, a little less. And man, it's a great read. Like everyone should have this book on their shelf in their collection, because it's a part of comic history, right? Like
big time.
Like this influenced the movie, which influenced comic cinema for since it came out. You know, like look, like Heath Ledger's Joker is based off the fucking Brandon Lee's The Crow. So basically, James O'Barr created Heath Ledger's Joker, as far as I'm concerned. You know, so if you like Heath Ledger's Joker, you could thank James O'Barr. So go buy this book and go read it.
Okay, you got me interested in something you said, Joe. So, Matt, did he actually add more stuff that was because the original issues which I have do have a lot missing from the trade that I have. I have the old Penguin Putnam one, I believe, put it out. Yeah. Our Pocket Books is who has the one that I put out that I got. Does this one have actually more content than that version does?
I think the only thing that's that wasn't ever released, because he put a bunch of, like, he put the Christmas story that was in a Caliber Presents issue, I believe, that's in here. And there's a few things that were released in other forms that he added to this edition, but there are, I believe, 2 brand new pages. And basically it's just filling out more of Officer Albright's character. Okay. And that's because he doesn't have a very big role in the book like he does in the movie. Ernie Hudson's character, if you're not familiar with the book, but yeah, it's more fleshing out of Officer Albright, and that's really it that got added to the, I guess, definitive edition. But yeah, there's not all that much. Like whatever version you pick up, you're gonna get the entire story.
And like Joe mentioned, there is a few changes to the adaptation of the film. A lot of it, what I'd have to say, is the order of events is probably the biggest change between the comic and because everything from the comic basically does transpire in the book. I guess the death scene of Eric and Sarah is quite a bit different. Not Sarah. Shelley, yeah. Is quite a bit different, but from what I understand, the original version that they shot for the film is when Brandon Lee passed, and they reshot the version that we know from the film in the loft as a backup so they could put the film out. So that's the reason why that is so different. But obviously, the neat things is they build up the character top dollar in the film like this huge, like, menacing villain, and he is literally the first guy that gets killed in the comic, and his death is pretty unspectacular, which I thought was pretty funny when I was a kid when I first got the graphic novel.
Right. There's a lot of little differences. like there's like my favorite character from the movie is Skank. And he's not even a character in the book, or is he? Or is he like a really minor, like maybe has one line in the book or something? But there's a lot of stuff that they definitely rearranged on. I think the most true to the movie and the book is Gideon's pawn. That whole scene.
Directly adapted,
Yeah,
almost Sin
yeah.
City style.
Mm.
The knife through the hand, all of that. The
Yeah.
rings flying out of the shotgun. I mean, it was depicted almost perfectly.
Right.
Like even the casting, like for him.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
exactly like you say, like to a T. Like
Right. I think that was the most like side by side comparison you could make to what made it to the film for sure. And Fun Boy's scene was pretty well adapted too.
yeah.
I like that they.
Because that passage where the mother who's an addict, that's directly a line from the book, right? Where he says the mother, and all that. That's directly from the book too, which is, I saw that passage right away because when I watched the movie, I thought that was super cool, and I was happy that was actually from the book and they took it straight from the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of funny too because he says all that and does all that, but then he steals Fun Boy's morphine and shoots it up for the rest of the book himself. So
And the book,
it's a little hypocritical, but
right. Well, he's not a mom.
But he was in pain. Like that's the cool thing about the book is in the movie they kind of give you this thing that like the bird somehow controls how long he lives and dies, but in the comic he is practically falling apart the whole time. Rigor mortis is set in. He's getting stiffer and he's getting more and more hurt as it goes on. Yeah, he can get shot and keep going, but so like him using the drugs, it made a little sense, but then he would cut on himself. I guess that's the whole goth aesthetic that this book helped launch, because like almost all of that's present here. The cutting, the drug use, it really did build a scene. And I'm not a goth. I've never really been into goth shit, but I love that somehow that this comic book just created that entire scene just with its aesthetic, because it really is just a beautiful, tragic story.
Yeah, and I am very much missing Joey's mustache as well. Just to put that on the record.
Pat's not, so she was happy when I shaved. She's like, I can see your face again.
I told you Mel would be mad about you shaving the stash, man. She was on Instagram talking about how cool she thought it was, and then you went and got rid of the lip ferret, man.
I bring it back every year, so it'll be back.
Yeah. Next time you need to tell Pat that she needs my permission to start laying those rules down.
Yeah.
Next year you got to grow one of them Yosemite Sam like power mustaches.
Fuck yeah. I'll have to start a little earlier then.
But back to the book, like what's your favorite part that didn't show up in the film? Mine would have to be the way Tintin dies, but getting his feet cut off with the samurai sword and bleeding to death. I thought that was such I would have loved to seen that depicted in film. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you guys have any moments like that reading it?
I love this whole book. Like there's so many awesome moments in it, and just the whole thing is super nostalgic for me because it was definitely one of the first comics that I ever read. But I do the little girl, there is no, like, Sarah is not in the book. Or is it Sarah? Is that her name?
Yeah.
Book? But it's very brief. No, very brief.
It's Sherry.
Yeah. They depict that scene in the second film.
Okay.
But every time I watch the second film, which I'm a fan of, even though I know a lot of people hate it, I always get a smile on my face that they did actually bring that into the movie from the comic too, because they left that completely out of the first film.
There's one thing I noticed about it though is But I can see how girls dig this book big time. There's a lot of like sexy poses that Eric takes when he's the crow, and his super gothy kind of thing where he's like holding the fence, and he's got like that super like model pose, like GQ cover pose and stuff. Like I can see how girls dig like the whole crow aesthetic, you know.
Why's
My
it gotta
favorite,
be just for girls?
my favorite
Well,
is when
that
he's
too,
sitting
yeah,
outside
okay.
the window and he's got his legs crossed
Yeah, with
and
a
he's got
gun.
the gun. Yeah, and he's
Yeah.
just like looking like, am I gonna fuck this guy or am I gonna kill him? He's kind of got that look to him, and
Yeah,
yeah,
there's
I see what
definitely
you're
that
saying.
look.
And then you got I don't know if he's training kung fu or if he's dancing, but there's a lot of scenes of him like, I don't know, kind of just looking dancing around without a shirt on in the book. So yeah, I
Doing
can totally
ballet.
see what you mean. Yeah.
I think he's dancing because didn't he learn how to dance for Shelley? Right. So
Hmm.
I think that's kind of
Yeah.
what they allude to is him that he learned how to dance for her because earlier on she wants to dance. He's like, oh, I don't dance. I don't know how to dance. And then later on you see him dancing, and I think he's just going through the motions of his grief and pain.
There's a lot of that.
Mm. Yeah, which
Basically,
is
the whole book.
basically, yeah. So yeah, man.
Another
Yeah.
thing I like is that the bird talks to him. I wish that they could
Hmm.
have tried to portray that in film because I think that his conversations with the crow were very meaningful, and I think that the film loses a little tiny bit without that because him constantly having the visualizations of the skeleton conductor. You
Uh,
would, Fred, you furry. But yeah, the visualizations of like the train conductor, and I guess he kind of sees him as a cowboy in one scene, where he's a nice suit kid, and
yeah.
Yeah.
but the bird definitely always kind of telling him that like, Eric, man, you don't got time for this. You got to hurry up, dude. Go get your shit done. I wish that like that was a little more present in the film.
Yeah.
Hey, there are videos. I don't know how to get them off of Twitter of me and Matt pop locking that we sent each other, and they're terrible. So, um, maybe if you're lucky and you pay us money on a Patreon, if we ever have that, like you could get the ancient pop locking videos of Matois and I.
Okay.
If you can find them, I'm not going to charge you money.
Pop. What exactly is pop locking? Is that where?
Like the Michael Jackson dancing with the arms and the kicking and the.
Okay.
I don't know. Whatever I was doing, I wouldn't put an actual name on it other than just white boy garbage dancing is my style. So, yeah.
White boy garbage dancing.
Yes. I hope that that Fred can find that and enjoy it.
Oh no, it's in
Because-
my DMs on Twitter.
Oh.
So between you and I. Oh wait, you left, so they're not there anymore.
Oh,
we'll have
isn't
to
that
film
a shame?
new ones. Yeah. Oh, sorry, girls. Lost media. Let's make an iceberg about it. But,
there we go.
But
Fucking hell.
Yeah, but there's one thing I noticed in the book is the way Eric dies. He gets shot in the back of the head, right, and that's what makes his eye discolored. That was
it
it.
blows the part of his face off. That's why he's got the
Yeah,
whole like.
he's got that little scar that comes down from where he bled from it, and it stays on his face. But in the movie, they don't have him with the two different colored eyes, do they?
No.
No, they didn't. They didn't, and the way he dies either, that he doesn't get shot in the head or
His
like,
hair
they do
doesn't
other
catch
stuff.
on fire or nothing because
yeah, like that was like you said, that part they changed in the for the movie.
Well, from
Yeah.
what I
But,
understand, it was originally the supposed to be the like from the film, but like that was the scene that they were shooting when he passed. So they when they reshot it with new actors and stuff, they just I guess to be tasteful, they just didn't try to recreate it. I can understand that because it seemed to traumatize everybody involved. I wouldn't want
Yeah.
to try to recreate the scene again.
And I love the wink that they did for the one. One of my favorite is the double spread where he faces the whole gang and he's facing them, and it's a shot from behind. He has his arms reached out, like start shooting me. And when he's remembering the death in the apartment, and he's on his knees, and he comes up and he puts his arms out, and I'm sure that was a wink to that page from the.
Oh, for sure.
Because he takes the exact same pose and it's from behind, and man, his body in the movie almost looks the same as Eric Draven's. Like the stringy, like he's not buff, like he's a fairly slim man, but really like cut and like not much body fat. So I thought that part was kind of cool too. Like it reflected well on the book because, like you say, he's dead, right? He's not like he's slim. He's like I thought it matched really well.
Yeah.
Mm.
My favorite key difference is obviously the book does not have the stupid ass trope of if you kill the bird you can hurt the man, which I love. The book is just about him and his unadulterated vengeance. There is no weakness to the guy. Like they could have maybe waited him out, like I said, because he was practically falling apart during the entire story. But if they stayed his way, which lucky enough his villains all did, like yeah, the whole thing was just about him and his revenge.
Yeah.
And I like that a little better. I hate that whole DC aesthetic where like the character needs to have like that one. He's afraid of water, you know, like it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie type shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I like the one thing I'll give the movie over the book is the main villain. Like
Oh yeah.
Like the main villain in the movie, he's so good. And in the book, there's so many different ones, and there isn't one particular one that stands really out like in the movie,
like in the film. Yeah.
Yeah, that was probably the only thing I'd say that the movie is superior to the book is that one aspect, because everything else, the book is better or just as good as the movie or better, right? And
yeah,
that's the only part that I'd give.
Yeah, you got to thank Michael Wincott for that.
Yeah,
he's so fucking good in that role.
Yeah.
Well, that and I love James O'Barr's art, but I got to give Alex Proyas's art direction and his use of miniatures and just like the way he visualized the film and the way he made the city look. It looks better than the comic does. I love the way that movie looks. It just is so grimy and just filthy.
Yeah, like dirty ass Detroit.
Yeah, because in the book, it almost seemed like it takes place kind of on the outskirts. Because where his house is and he lives seems like a suburb. And then there's like a few scenes that take place in the city, whereas in the movie it's completely urban. The whole thing takes place in an urban setting, unlike the book where like they're on a country road and they get stalled and they're driving by. And yeah. So I think that added to the grittiness and the dark tone of the movie a little more, just by having it all in the city during Halloween or Mat Night or whatever. Yeah. And in the books, do they have the slogan like in the movie where the gang, where they hang out and they fire it up and all that? Do they have that? They don't have that in the book, eh?
Nah.
There's no real scene where the gang members get together because most of
them
are
and just
dead
drink,
before any of them realize that there's somebody killing them all.
That's one of the things I realized, how they don't like, aside from that scene where they actually kill him, where they're all in the car together smoking crack, is the only time they're all really together, like in the movie. Whereas in the movie, that they're pretty much a unit for most of it, and but like the gang is probably a little more tight knit in the movie than in the books, where they all actually don't even really interact or like each other all that much.
Yeah, they definitely. There's no camaraderie between the villains in the book, that's for sure.
At all, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
There's the one scene in the book where there's like quite a few gang members attacking him, but it's none of the main characters. There's one main villain, and the rest are just pretty much sword fodder.
Yeah, a bunch of people when T-Bird at the end.
Yeah.
A lot of headshots in the comic too.
very much.
It's a lot more violent than the movie, the comic anyway.
Yes.
A lot of really good gore, yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing about the book is it definitely trumps the movie 5 times over with the whole gore and ultra violent aesthetic of it for sure.
It's definitely 90s comics.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, he did a beautiful job with the black and white because there's no color in this book. But he did just fantastic. Like some of the I don't know what this was his first comic, obviously, and the way he said he made it, he started it in the 80s.
Right.
He did a part of it and then continued. It's crazy to think he did this book over, what was it he said? That's the space of almost 12 years, 10, 12 years?
I can't remember the
long?
exact amount of time. It was quite a while, though.
I know he did it originally 4 issues for Caliber, but it never finished. And then Tundra, they ended up doing basically it as 3 double issues, and it came out basically as 6 issues in total. What would be for regular comics, and that was the original version before he started adding new stuff, all the cutout stuff to it. But one of the things I loved best about it is he wasn't squeamish on trying having different art styles. Like you said, there are some really kind of thin pencil parts up to it, and then there are parts where the lines are really thick, almost drawn with marker, and but it all just blends beautifully. I guess it kind of it depends on him remembering, him in rage. Like each kind of mood that Eric could possibly be in had a different pencil or drawing style to it, and I think it really kind of gave the book a distinct look in a sea of really cool new wave black and white comics at the time, because I mean, Caliber was the place to be for if you like this type of stuff. But that the reason why The Crow is so well known, I think, is because until David Mack started doing Kabuki, I think it was one of the most visually distinct books that they ever put out.
Yeah, you can definitely see that O'Barr was going through some shit while he was drawing this, because this is all based off of his real life experiences with his girlfriend dying and whatnot, and you can just tell that there's definitely some tragedy going on in whoever's drawing this book's life.
Yeah, and the story of that is his girlfriend, because like he said, when he was younger, he wasn't too how would you say, responsible. So he often didn't renew his driver's license and stuff, and couldn't afford to get another ticket for driving without a driver's license. So he ended up calling his girlfriend to go pick him up, and she got hit by a car when she was going to her car to try to go pick him up. And he always blamed himself for that, for being like a young person, kind of like any of us were back in the day. You don't think too much about responsibilities and stuff, and this was kind of his book to work. It was almost like therapy for him to work through his feelings and emotions, his guilt, his anger, his rage. Like you said, this book definitely covers the whole gamut of emotions of grief. It's basically what is it, the 10 steps to grief, or how does it go?
I don't
know how many there are.
Anyway, I don't know, but this book pretty much
covers the whole gamut.
Yeah. Yeah.
Plus, he picks just beautiful songs to use the lyrics to accompany some of the scenes too. He's
a lot of Joy Division.
A lot of Joy Division, a little bit of Cure. I think there's a Depeche Mode song in there, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right.
Which is pretty cool because it reflects in the movie as well.
Yeah.
The soundtrack for the movie, which is
that bomb-ass soundtrack that we also have an episode for that you can check out somewhere. The link will not be provided for you.
Don't be so fucking lazy. Go find it.
Look it up yourself, motherfucker.
No, but
let's not bring up the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Last time that got brought up on the show, it went to uncomfortable places.
Oh.
Brad wasn't here for that though, so I feel it.
No, No,
I remember where that went.
I'd have to go. I don't know. I don't remember where that went.
Yeah.
You don't remember Goose and the Hollow Man? I don't want to get Matt mad and have him re-say what he said, but yeah,
No,
like
I'll go. Cameo's that important if I don't remember. Just let me know which episode it was. I'll go rewatch it.
it was the one with the where we had everybody on it, man. The Baby Yoda episode where Matt threw a fit because of the
Oh,
Baby Yoda
okay.
film.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
Mel remembers.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah, we're not going to revisit that garbage.
the Color of Space episode.
Yeah, the Color Out of
Yeah.
Space episode.
Color Out
Exactly.
of Space. Yeah, that's it.
Alpaca
Okay.
milk. Let's just leave it at
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I remember now. It's coming back to me. I'm old. I gotta work these things through.
Oh, moving on.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Joe, if you had to put a rating on this book and a sense of urgency to people who haven't read it yet that might be into it, what would those be?
Well, you see, I can see how, like I said before, if you read this in the '90s, you'd be blown away for sure. And I can see how some people have bias, like, oh, it's. Some people say I have a hard time reading older comics because they feel dated, but I mean, this book, I feel like it holds up well compared to a lot of other older stuff because, one, I think black and white helps it hold up from an aesthetic point of view, from the art, because, I mean, black and white is black and white. There's no color. There's no, like, oh, that style of coloring is dated. So aesthetically, it holds up 9 on 10 for the art. I mean, there's no way around it. You're going to love it visually. Story wise, it tries some stuff that maybe some people don't like prose, some people don't like this, and there's parts in it where he takes actual poetry and throws it in there with a picture and stuff, and I didn't mind that. I thought it was cool, but some people might have a hard time with that. So maybe story wise, it still holds up though. I'd give it the story like an 8 on 10, and the art is a 9 on 10 for me. So I mean, it's definitely, people should go pick it up. I mean, it still holds up. I mean, it might show its age in a few little spots here and there, but in general, it's pretty solid. So it'd be like an 8.5 overall.
Matthew, same questions.
Man, I've got too much bias on this book, but I'd pretty much agree with Joey. There's definitely a few very minor elements that I think that do actually feel a little dated, but overall, you could crack this open right now for the first time, and that wouldn't be a problem whatsoever. I don't think. I am just completely all in on anything James O'Barr, so especially art wise. So yeah, I agree with Joey's rating overall, and just this will always be one of my favorite books of all time. And I don't know. And I hate Star Wars, Fred, but I love you.
As for me, I'm going to piggyback off of what you guys are saying, and it might be dated, it might show its time, but you know what? The 90s are chic right now. It's basically the new 80s. All the millennials are running around talking about, oh, the 90s are so cool. If you think the 90s are cool, then check this book out. It'll show you what it was like, what blew doors open and changed the world at that time, and it's powerful, and I think it's still a powerful book to this day. I of course saw the film, and I think I was in 4th grade, and that changed my life enough to where I was obsessed about finding the comic book, and when I finally did, it was so much even better than the movie. I love certain things about the movie, and I think they're both stack up to each other almost perfectly, but I will say that the book has a distinct edge over it. So I went out of my way and I found the issues, and I paid like $400 for them. So yeah, if you can't spend a couple like $20 on this trade, man, you're missing out, because this is a piece of history, it's a piece of culture, and it's just beautiful. I mean, it's just a wonderful, beautiful story. So I can't put enough of a spin on it to try to talk you into checking it out. And I don't believe in 10 out of 10s, but yeah, this motherfucker's a 10 out of 10. Like, deal with it.
And it
Uh,
just made me, as you're saying, it just made me think. This book has one of the single pages that I think even today you look at holds up to almost anything you see out there. Is where he burns the house down and he's walking out with the cat on his shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Love that page. That right there, man. Even I saw that, and even today, that holds up to any motherfucker that's drawn anything out there right now today.
Yep.
And that was drawn like 30, what? Almost, yeah, 30, about 30 years ago, right? So, man,
I
that's
think
some
the
solid shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think he drew this between 1987 to 1991 is how long it took him to finish it, something like that. So, yeah.
30 years. Yeah. For
But
something that's 30 years old to hold up as well as it has, that guy was like, man, like he he's pretty deep though with some of the shit he wrote in there though. Like I was reading some of it and I was like, man, this guy's, he's got some deep thoughts, man.
well, the good thing I see happening now is he seems to have found some peace because after what happened with Brandon, he started thinking he was cursed again. But he's drawing covers, a lot of covers lately,
Yeah, he
and
did a
he's been talking
Philadelphia.
about
Yeah.
Yep.
working on another project in the near future. So
Oh, that's
I
cool.
think this is a good time to maybe try to get into James's work because I mean he's going to need a fan base, of young people that actually
Oh, yeah.
appreciate what he's done in the past. And if you like this, try to track down Pink Morphine. It's a one shot that he did that is utterly insane. It's about this crazy junkie chick who sees Wile E. Coyote. It right?
That's awesome.
Yeah,
It
Matt,
sounds
you
it
have
sounds
it.
like a pretty interesting premise. Yeah.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. The art is just as good as The Crow.
Oh, dude, my favorite thing that he's done since The Crow is probably that Doom
Io.
Patrol variant that he
Oh,
did
yeah.
with. Oh, Io is definitely beautiful too. Yeah,
Yeah.
him and John Burgeon's Io. Like, yeah, John Burgeon's a homie of mine too. I talk to him on Twitter sometimes. He is like my connection to the barbed wire Halo crew, and I'd like to actually have him on the show and have him tell us stories about, David Mack and James O'Barr and Brian
That'd be
Bendis when they were
awesome.
kids and shit. You know what I mean? Working at Caliber together, like that. That's the type of comic book stories I want to hear about.
Right?
That would be awesome.
But yeah, that Lotion the Cat Doom Patrol variant that James O'Barr drew, like, oh my god, that is so beautiful. Like, I love it so much. Like, that is that, and it's the cheapest variant you could buy on the market too, which is makes it even more gangster in my opinion. It's not going for some Peach Momoko price.
Not
Well,
yet.
Peach's books have dropped though now. She's not as popular, man. She's passe, isn't she now? She had her 1 year of fame.
The kids have moved on. They're like that Maria Wolf now.
I'm one of those kids.
I am too.
I was never on the Peach train. I'm a Wolf train, man. I'm on that Maria Wolf train, big time.
I like them both. I think they both
Yeah, I
draw
like 'em both.
really beautiful covers. I just don't want to pay for them. You know what I mean? Like I just look at them and I right click them and save them on my computer where I have them forever.
Better watch it. Someone will tell you that's you're stealing by right clicking.
I'm
That's
just
right.
thinking the cover. I mean, I should have it. I should print them out and have them slabbed and try to sell them to people. Like, then I would deserve the trouble that I would get in. But yes, there is still time, Mel. And
No, there's not.
You want a Christmas baby Yoda? Like he's gonna get mad, but.
I somehow knew that was gonna
shit.
fucking happen.
Man,
But-
I wish you would have had a Christmas hat on it. It would have been too epic.
I didn't know she was
Little
gonna want a
Santa's
Christmas
hat.
one.
Yeah, that would have been too epic if you already had the Christmas like in time
Right.
for the holidays. That would have been too good. Yeah.
But with that, I would like to thank you guys all for joining us on this inaugural episode of Pink Spots. I think this went phenomenally well. I think we had a good time, and we had a popping chat. So you guys are all awesome. Thank you, Mel, Elle. We had
Fred.
Fredward.
Fred, Cookie Monster,
Yeah.
all the gangsters in the house, man. You guys be party people. So, this is Pink Buzz. It's a product of graphic vandalism. And you know what that means. Don't stop reading, especially if you haven't read The Crow. Go read that right away. Don't stop watching awesome movies like The Crow. You should probably watch that tonight. And don't stop supporting and listening to awesome music like The Crow soundtrack, which you should go like maybe listen to on Spotify or YouTube after you're done listening to this before you go watch Lost in Comics' 100th episode. So
Yes.
definitely check that out tonight. Our boys are doing our 100th episode, which is Gangsters. So, yeah, until next time, take it easy, y'all.